So I think, we've got a good group joining us in now. It's 12:31, so I think we shall go ahead and kick things off and welcome everybody. If you can't already see us on the screen, you will see us very shortly. We're just going to go through a few slides and then you will see our smiling faces. All right, so welcome everybody. We are so excited that you're joining us today for the second episode in our supply chain chat series here at Algo. Today's topic, just to remind everybody, is collaborate to dominate. So solving retail supply chain issues with integrated demand planning. We know that demand planning is really a key function within the supply chain ecosystem and lots of challenges associated with it. So I would like to welcome two of our supply chain experts to the webinar who each bring many years of industry experience and specifically working with global brands to help them leverage their data for better business outcomes, which is what we all want to achieve. So first up, we have Diane Sherwood, who's an industry executive, formerly the Vice President of Category Management at CarParts.com, and as well as Senior Director of Supply Chain at BestBuy. Diane's experience spans demand planning, merchant strategy, and space analytics. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you.
We also have Usman Barkat, who is our Chief Product Officer here at Algo. Usman spearheads the development of our innovative supply chain solutions and brings over 18 years of experience in demand and supply chain efficiency through advanced technology and strategic leadership. Usman leads our AI platform development and works with our product teams in North America and EMEA to ensure the constant evolution of our demand planning solutions. So today we're going to dive into a discussion about how to manage the top challenges faced in supply chain disruption and how teams can really best optimize and accelerate their retail demand planning. So I think we'll get started with that on a short intro about Algo, if you're not familiar with us and where we sit in the supply chain ecosystem, and then we'll hop right into today's discussion. So Algo primarily enables retailers, suppliers, distributors, and manufacturers to gain insight into their demand planning and inventory optimization processes. As we like to say here, we supercharge your supply chain. So Algo was founded, just a little bit of history, in 2008. We're headquartered in the US and we have subsidiaries in UAE, UK, and APAC with over 250 employees. So we really primarily are a supply chain intelligence solution, combining deep operational expertise with AI and ML to enable digital transformation. We've won lots of accolades from Gartner and other analysts over the years, fast-growing company, and so we are excited to share, some of the customer engagements that we have. Primarily, Algo serves in 5 key industries: retail, high-tech electronics, media and entertainment, consumer packaged goods, and fashion and apparel. So you can see some of the world-class brands and companies that we work with month in and month out to help them drive their supply chain efficiencies. We go to market with a robust partner program, which helps drive growth and scale across the supply chain ecosystem. We have established technology partnerships with various vendors such as Microsoft, Google Cloud, etc. Many information security certifications, and a whole host of pre-built connectors and integrations that help us deliver our world-class solutions. Usman, how about I flip it over to you to just give us a brief overview about our solutions and where we sit in the supply chain ecosystem.
Thank you, Karen. Great introduction. I'll just take a while to go through this slide and give you a sense of where we sit in the supply chain ecosystem. So if you look at this structure in front of you, this is how Algo streamlines the demand and supply chain from midstream supply chain, that is supplier warehouse, right through to the consumer purchases, which is downstream supply chain. And it actually allows us to integrate various key components into a connected, collaborated system that we're going to talk about a little bit more detail in the session today. So we start with SNOP, which stands for Sales and Operation Planning. This is where we handle everything related to demand forecasting, inventory management, making sure the clients have just the right amount of stock based on what they expect to sell. And this helps them avoid overstocking or running into shortages. Then there is a significant coverage into SNOE, which is Sales and Operation Execution, which includes our strategies for replenishment and merchandise planning. This ensures that our product are restocked efficiently and the client's sales strategies are well supported by the available inventory and all the simulation power that they need within the system. At the heart of this is the advanced business intelligence, which provides the analytics and insight support that they need to make smart decisions quickly. And that is really crucial for staying agile with all that is happening in your business. And each component that you see on the screen is designed to be flexible, scalable, very modular in nature, so it can grow and adapt to your business requirements, ensuring that we meet changing demands smoothly and efficiently. Back to you, Karen.
Great. Thank you for that, Usman. So, Diane, with that, I think I will hand it over to you. I'm just going to stop sharing the slides now so we can just focus on seeing our happy faces and listen to your chit chat today.
Great. Good. Well, Usman, Karen gave our introductions, but we wear and have worn so many different hats and have been on all different sides of the business, whether that be on the merchant side or inventory, vendor, or even on the consulting side. We've collaborated with so many different vendors, probably thousands, and have been really given a front row seat to that critical importance of breaking down silos and what that means and how you can see the business develop when you can do that. So I'm probably sure we've seen some of the worst some worst planning mishaps. We could probably write a short book or some cartoons about that, but siloed forecasting has led to, missed opportunities, overstocks, understock issues, and really lost revenue.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. And I think in my experience, the most significant shift happens when we break down the barriers between different teams. At Algo, we encourage this through our platform capability called Journeys. And we will be talking more about that Journeys capability because that brings the whole essence of collaboration to life for our demand planning. It allows our teams, whether they are merchandising, inventory, finance, marketing, or supply chain, to contribute their insights for the same platform and making sure that everybody's on the same page. What I've experienced in the past is that when these diverse teams work together closely, not only do we see more accurate forecasts, but we also manage our inventory much more efficiently. This kind of deep collaboration, asymmetric collaboration, ensures that our operations are closely aligned with market demand, and which in turn boost and drive primarily growth for the business. So when people ask me about game changes in the field, I talk about how crucial is it to foster a culture where collaboration is ingrained within the systems and workflows that we deal with every day. It's about making sure everyone is moving together with every step and decision informed by shared insights and aligned goals. And that's what our Journeys capability is designed to do. And it's transforming how we approach the supply chain challenges that we are faced with every day.
Yeah, coming off of our, the summit we were at. So if you just joined the American Supply Chain Summit in Dallas, what we heard from retailers and suppliers, it kept reoccurring. There's so many challenges that everyone's facing, and what was pretty consistent were some of the global supply chain disruptions, whether that had been natural disasters in their area or geopolitical inflation, which was squeezing some of the profit margins. Data management and analytics was a huge piece, around cybersecurity, and also social media influences and trying to catch some of those trends. It's continuing that there's more and more that they're challenged with and are needing help in figuring out a way to support that.
Absolutely. I think that the landscape you just described was everybody was talking about there at the conference, and they are struggling with most of those variables within their organization. Um, and these pressure and challenges that they face with are primarily, what we are trying to solve at Algo. So it's whether it's navigating the impacts of inflation that you talked about, adjusting to fast-moving social media trends, or any other challenge that require integrated planning process at Algo. What we're trying to do is to make sure that those variables are captured in time. If they are captured at a specific tier within the organization, there has to be a capability to collaborate across organization. And and you're also right about some of those internal challenges as well. There are disjointed workflows, manual processes, and those aren't just inefficiencies. They can be major roadblocks to efficiencies and the outcomes that you desire. And that is why we see collaboration in an entirely different way. It's just not something that is required today, but it has to be part of the every workflow that business is going through, bringing everyone together, making sure that they find right insights, making sure that they own their insight, can collaborate on those insights, finding those opportunities. But then when they pass those opportunities to somebody else within the organization, they don't have to start over, all over again, figuring out what is the source of truth for that opportunity. So, making the tool that we are designing is helping them collaborate seamlessly, effectively, making sure that the clients not just adopt, but also thrive in those challenging times that you just described.
So, time and time again, I'm always asked, what are you seeing or what are challenges in the business? And now being on this side of the business, I hear in discovery sessions, these challenges that are bubbling up when people are talking about a day in a life of their team, of their analyst, of their manager, director, and where those are coming. And there are three of them that come to mind, but the first one are those Monday business reviews or just business reviews, depending on the day of the week and the rhythm that different companies have. How do you capture the data easily and classify those insights? The duplication of efforts and just feeling that scramble, like, are we all looking at the same bit of data? And let alone trying to get to those variances, understanding what the root cause is. So it creates this crazy scramble. I was describing this to Karen a few weeks ago, what I'm hearing. And she goes, Diane, there's a search term for it. And I'm like, what? She goes, it's called the Sunday Scaries. And I'm like, all these years I could have been calling it the Sunday Scary. And I didn't even know it was trending high on the search terms. But I think people do really feel that. The teams I've led over the years have anxiety going into Monday. They know it's a quick turnaround time to get to the business results and be able to talk about what's happening and how you're going to change and pivot going forward.
Yeah, you've hit on something with the Sunday Scaries. I think, I can relate to it a lot. I think it's something a lot of us can relate to actually. Is that nagging worry about the upcoming week that can actually dampen your weekend at Algo? We've been working really hard to change that dynamics. Coming from the operations background myself, I totally understood, what is required to start off your Monday at a very high note. So what we have done is to create a system where information flows smoothly and everyone can access what they need without a fuss. So instead of coming into Monday's review meetings feeling blindsided or scrambling for data, the teams can have everything lined up ahead of time. So platform plays a pivotal role in that, and it keeps everyone from finance to operations to channel operation teams, to demand planning teams, all of them at the same page with real-time updates. And it's actually helping them turning reactive planning into something which is very predictive in nature, and we are making it more and more proactive as we speak. Um, and the major medium of that is primarily figuring out how do we deliver those actionable insights. So some of the alert scalability that we have built, I'm really excited about that. For example, if you see a specific trend that is spotted by the system, around inventory, or any other opportunity that can actually boost your revenue by a significant margin, instead of getting buried in reports or emails, or taking a screenshot of it and pushing it out through Teams, the the capability allows you to tune it in a way that we actually have this power to now create this push analytics for the relevant people, and making sure that those opportunities aren't missed, and someone who is really in need of those opportunities or can make a difference within the organization is very well aware. And when we talk about such a major shift from figuring out, going into the sea of data, figuring out the information yourself, to an entirely different methodology where those actionable insights are being pushed to you, those are tangible impacts on how one can operate daily. So it means the Mondays are less about firefighting and more about being ready for that strategic decision that you have to change ahead of time and transform that business, for and make it more ready for those challenges. And this is what we are really proud about at Algo, that we are making that difference in the major operations of the businesses.
It definitely changes the dynamic of the team and how they operate and feel, efficient, and they can focus on the analysis and not just getting to the, can I just find the damn number, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So good. Well, the second thing that I hear about is assessing and interpreting like all the different data sources, whether that's due to promotional changes, sometimes impact, the forecasts are adjusted as a result, shipping issues, fulfillment center variations. It's not just about the inventory imbalances, but service levels, margin opportunities, strategic placement of the product, and just being able to pinpoint the right analytics for the right person is so necessary. So there's not that duplication of efforts.
Totally agreed. I think the challenge of dealing with data from so many different sources is something we see all the time. And it's easy for things to fall through those cracks when you are managing multiple tools or relying on manual processes that don't talk to each other. And I think this doesn't only lead to outdated and inconsistent data, but also makes it hard for teams to work effectively together. And at Algo, what we try and do is that we tackle this in a way that we have a system that is designed to deliver the information to the right persona when required. So by using technology, we can identify, what are the major interests for each persona, what are the mayas that he's interested in, and figure out how do we push those relative data information based on certain thresholds, based on certain interest types, to those who actually need it. And we help ensure that every team member, whether they're in sales or marketing or demand planning, get the most relevant information at their fingertips, and the total empowerment on how do they want to subscribe to that information in future as well. So there's a whole learning cycle loop that gets updated and trained every time you get some information. Uh, when I talk about some of the things that in demand planning, especially how does collaboration is helping demand planners and other team members to respond quickly to new challenges. I think one of the major uh, fundamental game changer was this up-to-date, accurate data transmission, live data transmission to them, reality of the current state of affairs. So there is no lag between the information that one department is receiving versus the other department. And we're also trying to figure out a way to assign a financial component to it. So primarily by handling the data and figuring out how it is delivered and to the right person in time is what making our organization and platform more and more responsive as we improving it.
Well, that's good to hear. That's great. The third one, and this is a fun one because I've struggled with this, leading various teams throughout the years, trying to capture all of the data, but it's scenario planning. And interestingly enough, over the course of the last few days at the summit, and talking to a few of the different vendors, scenario planning is actually one of the pain points that came up just this week, let alone in the previous discussions, we've been having with others, or what we've experienced ourselves with in the businesses that we've been involved with. So, scenario planning, if you bring in marketing and finance and retail operations, you need everybody's point of view. They all have different ideas, perspectives on the business, and it's important. It's like a 3D game of chess, right? Or three-dimensional chess. Envisioning the strategies and anticipating, the potential moves. It's always been challenging, and you think about how you do that today. I might give direction and provide that to a few team members, but it needs to be broadened and more people brought into the conversation. Yeah, it gets lost sometimes between, did I send it in chat? I mean, I know this will resonate with many people on the call, but where did you send it? Chat, email, Slack? Tell me where I find it, and am I actually looking at the right number? So it's always that constant struggle to gather those insights. Where are we in the process? Where did I leave off? Where do you need to pick up? So it's that insights and planning and scenario planning for everyone. It's not only like getting the data and the analysis, but it's how do we keep it all in one spot?
True. I think, some of the components that you've mentioned here are really what the initial list of my pain points when I started working on this scenario planning capability. At Algo, we always had this amazing scenario planning capability, but we were trying to tackle this. How do we incorporate all those edge cases and scenarios that you just explained into one form? And the response with the latest and greatest that we have at Algo in the recent most release is that we came up with this central repository kind of a methodology where it acts as a single source of truth for all planning activities. So if you are working on a planning stream, the setup allows you to involve additional people, additional stakeholders, and assess that, how they can contribute to that scenario in a real time. And while they are doing it, it's getting saved in form of those, plan A, B, and C. And then you can always go back and figure out that how many people contribute to, let's say, scenario A. What were the financial outcomes or impact on certain measures of that scenario. So you get to compare, contrast them together, and before you make a final decision, you have this capability to figure out if there is a thought track that you want to capture for a future reference. So that people can go back, and if they want to do a root cause analysis, they can go back to that central repository, click on it and figure out, what was my thought track at the time I was creating that scenario. So all of that is captured in a really, really modern way. Instead of having isolated conversations spread out across your channels, it's all in one place. And the medium that we're trying to figure out is how do we now give access back to those? So while you are in the same cycle, let's say next planning cycle, system will automatically show you, hey, while you were there last month, last week, last quarter, here are the 4 scenarios that you worked on, and this was the rationale behind it. So it's really easy to access on the go. and you are able to now go back and figure out those assumptions, and you don't need to recreate all those assumptions again before you create a new plan. It's simply adopting to those what you have already done rather than recreating the wheel altogether. You can start off from the baseline assumptions that you had earlier, figure out what has worked for me, and then moving on from there to create a new plan. So it's like a whole new modern twist on the good old scenario planning capability that companies have.
Yeah, the efficiency that is going to drive within business teams. And it goes back to why we're here, right? The collaborative planning that's needed. It streamline. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. Streamlines it, and is truly a game changer in how the businesses are going to operate and the teams within those businesses. Pretty great. Karen, we're probably at time for questions, would be my guess.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We just have a few minutes left. So how about we just hop into this one, which is for organizations looking to shift towards a more integrated approach, what are the initial steps you recommend? Like, I'm sure one of the first questions we always get on the implementation side is, how do we get started? So what are your thoughts there, Diane?
Yeah, I can take start with that one. I think, one of the first things, it's always just assessing your current state. What planning and processes do you have? What tools are you currently using? Really trying to understand the silos that exist today, who's talking to whom, who should be, and how should the conversations be going, but just really understanding that starting point and mapping that out. The second thing I can think about is, and anybody who's worked with me knows that the cross-functional teams working together and that process requires so much collaboration. So really getting understanding and buy-in from those cross-functional team members on the planning process. Where do they want to be? Where do we need them input? What are they providing today? And what those needs are. And it drives that sense of ownership and buy-in across the organization. So those would be the two things that I would definitely start with.
Yeah, and Usman, just in the interest of time, is there just sort of one key highlight you'd like to give there?
I think, Dan has nailed it right on the head. I think, but my advice would be to start small and scale. Figure out, what are the area where you want to where you can make a right impact with this kind of an approach, and it allows you to iron out any issues or making sure that, when you're scaling it, how do you tweak your strategy as you go along. But it also helps with demonstrating success, I think, and it becomes really important to, for you to internally build that use case and momentum for your organization for a broader rollout. But, always start off with a small set of products that you feel that you're struggling with, category or channel, and then try and roll it out to that, and then, makes it a much more robust business case to scale it to the wider scale.
Smart. Yeah. Agreed.
Maybe we'll quickly do one last question. What strategy do you suggest for managing change? When it comes to this, it's a big undertaking. So thoughts around employee adoption and, adapting existing workflows there.
Yeah, I think, how about I take this first, Dan? Yeah?
No.
Oh,
yeah,
super.
You take it.
Right. So I think, one of the key ones is communicating very clearly at the start of the project in terms of what the vision of the project is and what is the purpose behind it, and how the whole organization or a specific team that you're going to work with will get benefit from it. And it always helps out smoothing out that anxiety and making sure that employees are engaged at an early stage, and they contribute to it, and they bring in those real valuable nuggets to the party that you want to actually contribute to and solve for. So this is, I think, is a key component when it comes to managing this. Any additional thoughts, Dan, on this?
Yeah, agree with everything that you said. I would say celebrate the quick wins. just in the early stages, recognizing and communicating just even the smallest thing can help build that momentum. I would say monitor and just be okay that what the plan was may not be the plan go forward, and you're going to have to make some changes and be flexible and responsive to some of the challenges that arise.
Great. Okay. Shall we leave it there, folks?
I think so.
All right.
Good,
Wonderful. Well, Diane, Usman, thank you so much for your time and your contributions today. It was a great discussion, and I'm sure we'll have more to come in our next supply chain chat. So I wish you a wonderful rest of day wherever you are, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to future conversations. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, all.